Hello everyone and welcome to the virtual Twin Ring Motegi. It's Murph and it's Collins, and we have got Indy Open Top Split action live on a Monday night for our friends here at P1 Broadcasting. And the reason that Mr. Collins is here is because our good friend Kyle Clinworth, Collins, he's living in an upside down world on this tricky egg in Japan.
That he is. It's one of the most unique tracks that we have in terms of ovals on the surface. Not only is it one of the few international ovals we have, but it's also kind of the most uniquely shaped of the bunch.
Yeah, it is. So Twin Ring Motegi is best described as a really big, smooth Darlington, or an even bigger, smoother, high-banked gateway. The open end is turn 1 and 2, and these cars, these Dallara IR18s, they're going to take that nearly flat out, 205 to 210 miles an hour. Might get down to 200 just at the apex, and they're going to fly down this backstretch here, Collins. And they're absolutely going to have to brake down to fourth gear, sometimes third gear, into the apex at turns number 3 and 4, and then back to the gas and stand on it straight down the front, all the way back around to turn 1 and 2 to do it again. And Collins, turns 3 and 4, although they are the narrow end of the egg, they are far less tricky to me than turns 1 and 2. Yes, the wall wants to jump out and grab you at the exit of 4, but the exit of 2 is the most tricky to me, especially in traffic.
Yeah, and it's also notable that kind of about dead center between 1 and 2, there's like a bump in like the active racing line typically, so sometimes that'll upset the car and that wall will start coming at you even faster. So it's definitely less that meets the eye until you're right up through it and then heading towards the fence.
Yeah, it most certainly does. The other thing that you also want to keep an eye out for here is, of course, fuel mileage. Races at Motegi are kind of like races at Pocono, aren't they, Mr. Collins, where they usually come down to fuel mileage. Perhaps the most famous win here, Danica Patrick, happened in a fuel mileage derby. The NASCAR races that were here happened here were mileage derbies as well. This track is not in use anymore due to damage that it suffered in the earthquakes. The oval is no longer usable. The road course is. Now, this isn't a typical roval in the sense that the road course does not use the oval. They share facilities, they share grandstands, they share a garage area, but Jacob, they do not share any racetrack, do they?
No, they don't. I think that's one of the cool things about coming to the road course here, especially, is you actually drive underneath turns 1 and 2, coming towards the front stretch of the oval. You can actually see parts of the road course basically inside the infield of this track, just given where everything's located. So it's definitely a unique facility.
Most certainly is. We're having a look at that facility right now, and you can see the road course actually goes under the track twice. Once through about the apex of 1 and 2. That would be the tunnel turn, and that tunnel is right where the bump is. It also comes back under the end of the backstretch, right about where you'd enter turn 3. You can see the Bridgestone billboard there. In the bottom, there is the TRM Super Speedway cut in flowers there in the side of the hill. It's a very unique facility, Collins, and it's one of my favorite tracks. I almost feel bad that I don't get to run it tonight, but we've got some awesome top split action, and Collins, we've also got qualifications ended, so we're going to get ready to let our fans know the starting grid. There we go. Grid is up, Collins. And on the pole, Hamilton Akabuezi, 204.7818. The average speed, Treston Forston, he's going to take the outside, 203.307. Row 2, Blaze Andrich and Rashad Craig. Matty Sinclair and Sam Carosella, they're going to go in row 3. Matt Taylor and Nick Sudik, row 4. Row 5, Marco Aurelio Brazil and Logan Edwards, and that is an uncharacteristically slow qualifying speed for Marco on an oval. Connor Parise is 11th. Kyle Clinworth is 12th. Alexander Miller, he's going to go 13th. Oh, hey, Olivia Hayward, 14th. Uncle Robin Glakis is going to be 15th. Olivier Samunu is 16th. And rounding out your starting field, Kevin Hayes III, 197.642 on the average speed for Kevin Hayes. And there you get a look at some of the starting grid just about ready to get rocking and rolling here, Collins. So the question is, you do these races when Clindy decides to get out on the racetrack. Have you ever given any thought to giving one of these a shot? And would you like to do it?
The Open Series, I've made a couple attempts at it last couple seasons. Usually turns into a partial schedule because I get kind of frustrated and fed up a little bit. I think this last season, as we might have caught, it would have been the Lime Rock Park incident. But it's always tricky coming out to these because you never quite know what you're going to get and never quite know what you're going to have until the start time shows up. And trying to keep pace with all these guys that kind of got the deepest books in the business. It's a challenge in its own right, and I'd love to give it another crack at some point, maybe when the books aren't as deep, when we get that physics update we're kind of expecting before the end of the year here. And
yeah, it is, and that's something that I think that's something that all of us in the community are kind of looking forward to. Tonight, though, we can look forward to a awesome set of track conditions. Matty Sinclair checking in the chat. He says, Bluey fast, Clindy last. We'll see how long that lasts to keep the Rhine going. 69 degrees in the air, 87 on the track. Winds out of the south at 13 mile an hour. A lot of overcast here. It's not raining, but the sun ain't shining either, Jacob.
No, and that's kind of what you get with a lot of these earlier start times. Is a bit more fog, lower temperatures. The track stays pretty cool in those conditions, and it's always going to be fun to navigate a cool track like that. Try to keep as much grip in the tires as you can because that's about as good as it gets. So, yeah.
100% correct. The pace car is getting ready to duck on off, looking from the back of Hamilton Akabuezi as they get toward the start-finish line to start this race. There's Blaze Andrich. He's going to start third. There's the green flag. Hamilton Akabuezi is on the loud button. He bursts into the lead ahead of Andrich and Fortson. They're going to go side by side for second place. Andrich is going to have it going into turn one, and here comes Rashad Craig. He smells blood in the water as well.
Yeah, everybody trying to kind of file into a single file for the most part, but they know that these early starts and restarts are going to be where you can make up the bulk of your positions, especially with how tricky it is to pass here because it's a very narrow racing line, especially through turns 3 and 4. It takes potentially multiple laps to set up passes here, a lot like you'll see at a lot of other short ovals, just given the way that the corners are constructed.
Most certainly is. Hamilton Akabuezi leads it. Matty Sinclair and Nick Sudik, they're going to go side by side. Sudik slides toward the back of the field, and I think we've got one around.
All right, man. Caution is out. Caution is out.
That's Marco Brazil, and he has turned his number 4 machine into the upside down mobile. That's a tough break for the number 4 of Marco Brazil. Let's go back and see if we can't catch it, Collins. Ooh, hard impact, and I think that's Clindy.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some right side pod damage. Like the whole side pod's basically missing at this point, so it'll be interesting to see if that probably takes him out of this event, depending on the extent of that damage. It looks like all the tires might be still straight, but you never know until you get into the pit lane.
You never know. Now, that's going to be Matt Taylor ahead that gets into the wall. Brazil glances off the wall. He gets into Clinworth. So we need to go back and check Matt Taylor, and there's the hard contact for Marco and for Clindy. This all started with Matty Sinclair and Nick Sudik. Sudik had to get way out of the gas. He caught some bad air, and he kind of forces Matt Taylor up high. Taylor's going to glance off the fence. He's going to come down. I think Marco lost side where he was momentarily. He glanced off the fence. Unfortunately, nowhere for Clindy to go. Great job of avoidance by the number 6 machine of Logan Edwards. Caution is on the speedway, and Matt Taylor has brought it to pit lane. Both Clindy and Marco Brazil have the meatball. They must respect the meatball. I would assume that Marco is done. Usually when you get up on your side like that, and he is punched out of the number 4. Clindy, though, he is also now punched out. We do have takers on pit road. Matt Taylor, of course, involved in that accident. He sits. Others that were not involved, Olivia Hayward, Kevin Hayes III, they're going to stop and take some gas.
You might as well, especially with the potential for being able to save on a really long run. You never know when those yellows will come out. Take advantage of essentially a free stop here. Get your fuel, maybe chuck some tires on it if you're feeling a bit, bit saucy. But it's always better to take them while you're not having to go at full speed with everybody else on the track. So
that's very true. The other bit is, we kind of talked about it in the opener, and Clindy before the race, he told us you could save a megaton of fuel here, and so if you're Hayes or Ohe, you're in the back anyway. Go ahead and grab you some free fuel. I know it's only a lap. I know that doesn't seem like much, but Jacob, that could make a huge difference. If you run it long and there's a caution that comes out in that pit cycle, buddy, that could be a big deal.
Yeah, and that might have even been a get up to speed full push type lap too, which typically takes a bit more gas. That extra gallon may play a bigger factor towards the end of the run where you can save a bit more of it. It's always one of those things you kind of keep in the back of your head is that, the first couple may be a bit more consumption in the fuel department, but as the run kind of stretches on, you're able to save more and more and more to where that gallon can go a lot further.
Absolutely. And so Hamilton Akaboise leads it. We're under caution, lap 5 of 125. Blaze Andrich is second. Tristan Fortson is third. Rashad Craig fourth. Sam Carosella is fifth. Sinclair, Sadiq, Edwards, Parise, and Glakis round out your top 10. Then it's Miller, Hayward, and Kevin Hayes, Oliver Samunu, and Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor has rejoined the back of this pack, as have Samunu, and Kevin Hayes came back in along with Ohe to top up the fuel tank. And so you can already tell what they're thinking. Matt Taylor maintained his position on the lead lap, but Jacob, he was 1 minute and 6 seconds under repair.
Yeah, you've got to wonder if maybe his car's still hurting too. We'll have to see if he's able to get a solid launch on this restart and hang with the field here and kind of just hang around. But we're under green now.
Yes, we are. Here they come toward the line. There's the green flag. It is out. Hamilton Akaboise, he's going to hit the loud pedal. He'll lead Blaze Andrich away from Tristan Fortson, Rashad Craig, and Sam Carosella. And already they start to feint out. And you see Rashad Craig, he's the first one that kind of does it. He feints Fortson high. He's gonna feint high, and then he's going to try to get to the bottom down through turns 3 and 4, and here comes the green and black Indy Alliance machine to the bottom of Fortson. Rashad Craig hunting third, and he's got company in the form of Sam Carosella.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that it's difficult to position your car behind others, especially with that dirty air in play. And you know that you've got other cars behind you trying to take advantage of those dirty air situations as they arise. As we see, they get kind of dicey coming into 3 and 4 here.
You do. And here comes Rashad Craig. He's going to fire to the bottom one more time. Can he get clear of Tristan Fortson? It appears as though Rashad Craig has made the pass. Fortson, he's going to have all the momentum. He's going to throw the crossover going down the main straight.
That's kind of just the game you play here, is you got to kind of leapfrog it as the momentum builds off the corners, because it takes a good amount of momentum away to make those passes on the inside as you start to kind of slide up the track, so you can kind of get that draft effect of the car in front of you and make a run down the front stretch.
You most certainly can. Now we're watching Sam Carosella. He's going to have a crack at Tristan Fortson here for fourth. Meanwhile, Nick Sadiq and Logan Edwards, they've pulled nearly up the back of Matty Sinclair. There's Sadiq in the Fiercely Ford machine for P1 Docs. He is all over the back of Matty Sinclair. Matty Sinclair sporting a new scheme tonight, Collins. He's got Bluey on the side of that car.
Yeah, he was really excited about that one. It's fun to see some fun paint schemes with some of our favorite children's show characters out on the track. You know, it's fun to see the creativity of the community and get some fun stuff out there every once in a while.
It is indeed, and there goes Nick Sadiq. He is to the bottom and through on Matty Sinclair, but Sadiq cannot hold that bottom, and in comes Logan Edwards. He's going to dive to the bottom of Sadiq. Meanwhile, Sinclair, he's going to take a dive on Tristan Fortson.
It's kind of like how we were talking. It's those air situations that you're able to kind of play here with the more cars bunched up together here. Is everybody's got to kind of play smart with not only the car in front of them, but the car behind them even, or the car 2 cars in front of them. You kind of got to got to think like essentially 2 or 3 cars in front of you to know where to put yours.
You do, and this is also, remember, this is an open setup series. You're watching Sinclair to the outside of Logan Edwards. The Fiercely Ford car for P1 Docks, it may not handle as well in clean air. You can set your car up to handle specifically in clean air. You can set it up to handle in traffic. I can vouch for the car that Rashad Craig is driving. I know that car handles amazingly well in traffic. It may not be the fastest car that's here at Motegi, but it's definitely one of the best in traffic. It's definitely one of the easiest on the tires, but everybody has their own philosophy, Jacob, and that's what makes this series so awesome. We're watching the Bluey machine of Matty Sinclair, Nick Sudik behind him. You've got Alexander Miller in the TMR racing car. He is 9th. And then how about Rob Unglakis? Rob Unglakis started this race 15th. He's made up 5 spots.
Yeah, old Uncle Rob, as we like to call him, a mainstay of the series. You know, I've had some good battles with him between this series and the IndyCar iRacing series, particularly at tracks like Mid-Ohio. You know, long run, you know, tricky tracks where it's just everybody's kind of fighting for those inches. It's always a good thing to see guys with those levels of consistency just work their way through the field, let the mistakes come as they may for the other drivers around them and capitalize.
It is. Robin Glakis is also one of the longest serving members of the community. He's been around a very long time. He's a veteran of these wars, and Uncle Rob showing us why right now. He's been around for that long period of time. And Glakis trying to work on Alex Miller. Right now, this is probably the best battle on the speedway. There goes Unglakis to the bottom. Can he get it done? We'll get on board with him and see what he sees. This is from the roll hoop of the number 12 machine, and you can see it. He's offsetting, getting into the corner. He's going to try to power out low. He's going to try to build a run. Now, what he's got to do, Collins, he's got to almost take this run to the second groove and kind of cross over, but he can't really do it because Sudik's up there too.
Yeah, that's one of those tricky things with having to position your car with that much dirty air out in front of you is you can build those really big runs, but you also have to account for the car's wake off the bottom too. You know, you've got cars in front of you, you've got cars maybe a second out in front of you that are still putting off a wake in front of your car. So it's just timing those runs to get to where you can position in as little dirty air as possible.
He timed it pretty well there. He's going to get ahead of Alex Miller. Unglakis wisely sweeps it wide. That forces Alexander Miller to run almost the third groove, but Miller going to get a huge run down the backstretch. This battle is not over. To the bottom goes Alex Miller, but he can't quite make it stick. Now this time, Uncle Rob's going to have both the clean air in 3 and 4. He's going to have the draft in front of him. There you see it. Can he make the pass stick? This time I think he's got him.
Yeah, you kind of see how he can build that momentum on the higher groove coming through 3 and 4. Just that wider arc allows you to carry a bit more speed, especially on corner exit. It makes it harder for the car on the bottom to stay with you. It's a very, very tight line trying to arc that bottom, so you have to kind of think about how you're going to get off the corner behind the car in front of you and maybe make another run out of it coming to turn 1 and 2.
It does indeed. The other thing that you got to really be careful of is truthfully be careful of is we're gonna get on board Uncle Rob one more time, but Rob Unglakis, if you're not careful, if you run that high line over there, you can very easily pound the turn 4 wall. It's just like turn 2 at Darlington, really, or turn 2 at Motegi, or not Motegi, at Gateway. It really wants to jump out at you. But I was talking earlier about cars that are good in traffic. This Unglakis machine looks like it's terrific in traffic. Uncle Rob is making up spots. He's all over the back of Matty Sinclair here.
Yeah, and that's got to be one of those things you keep in the back of your head is how much focus you want to put into a qualifying car. Because, you know, a lot of guys will put in a solid amount of effort to qualifying, maybe come out with a, you know, like we like to point out with Marco Brazil, who comes out with a rocket ship for qualifying, and then you get buried back in dirty air, and it's a bit harder to make moves. So it's interesting to see those philosophies that come from all the way from the drop of the green to even before it, trying to figure out what you do to make the most of your race.
Yes, it is. Now we're going to get in the P1 airship. That's what this battle looks like. Meanwhile, you've got Matt Taylor and Oliver Simunu. They're going to go after it. This is for 11th and 12th. Again, we try to follow the best battle we can. Look at how high Taylor gets, and he's going to cross up Simunu, and here he goes to the bottom of the 14 machine. Now he's going to pull out of it. Thinks better of it, but my goodness, watch how radically different their lines are from the blimp. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, you almost thought that Matt was going to start, properly ripping the boards like a Larson at Homestead or something, where you're basically right up against the fence. But rolling that high side seems to do him some dividends going down that backstretch because he's able to carry just a little bit more speed. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep that momentum up lap over lap, because it may just be how the run gets built up with where Olivier is running in front of him.
It is, and the other thing is, you got to be careful. Just like anything else or anywhere else, the high side can really abuse the tires. Now Simunu, he's also offsetting, right? Because he's got Alex Miller right in front of him, and so it's kind of what you talked about earlier, Jacob. You've got to be kind of careful, not just of the guy in front of you, but the guy two cars in front, right? Because Alex Miller, he's going to go low. Simunu is going to go a little bit higher. Matt Taylor is going to have to run a little bit higher. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second, fans. As soon as I can get it figured out. The cameras from Whiplash SimCams, they're awesome here, but they're in a little bit of a different order from MOTEGI. So I'm still trying to find my way around to camera box. There's off the back of Olivier Simunu. And then let's look at the roll bar. See how he's trying to offset Alex Miller there? So Simunu doing the right thing. Poor old Matt Taylor, he's back here, and he just has no air. So he's going to try to get higher than Simunu. And it's so difficult. Plus, you can see the scuffs on that right side pod. That car may not be in the best of nick. Is that how you would say it, Jacob? In the best of nick, the best of repair?
I would say a bit worse for wear. That machine might not be at its peak performance level, but you have to wonder if he's kind of just trying to ride this out as long as he can. Maybe catch a lucky yellow, get some more damage repaired. Any little bit helps. Staying on the lead lap here would be pretty huge if he's got some considerable damage that may need to still be fixed. But it seems to be holding up pretty well if he's staying on the lead lap here.
It is. He ran 28.130 the last time, so he's about half a second off the lead, and that's not abnormal. Speaking of not abnormal, how about Marco Brazil? He's come back out on the racetrack, 23 laps down for Marco. Going to try to score as many points as he can. He's also back out here trying to limit the damage to the old I rating, you would think.
Well, it could be that, and maybe he's trying to get a better idea how to dial in his setup and some traffic, try to figure out where he can work on things, what worked, what didn't coming into this race. A lot of guys will probably run races throughout the week following this to try to get an idea of maybe where their setup was not the greatest and sort those kinks out for maybe the next time they come here or a similar track. And that's part of the development process, not only for the drivers, but the cars as well.
Christian Steele checks in. Marco really going to fight to get those laps back. He might. He's only 23 down. You think he can unlap himself 23 times, Christian? That'd be a sight, wouldn't it? Meanwhile, Tristan Fortson has got the meatball. What in...
Yeah, it looked like he clocked the wall pretty hard coming off of turn 2 that last time by as we were kind of running down Marco Brazil. I don't know if maybe he just knocked the toe out of the front end of the car or if there's something more going on with that track rocket machine.
Yeah, let's see it. He's going through turn number 2 right here. He's awfully high. He's got Unglaikis and, well, that's turn number 4. So he's got Unglaikis and Sudik behind him. He is awfully high there. It must have been the lap before, maybe? There it is. So Tristan Fortson, he just gets high and bam, right into the outside wall in front of Logan Edwards, and he's gonna have to answer for that meatball. You must respect it here in iRacing. If Tristan doesn't get to pit lane, they're gonna black flag him. Now he's got Olivier Simonu to the outside. Here comes Alex Miller, and Fortson is gonna dive toward the pit lane, and that could be something as simple as wheel damage. But I'd be willing to bet you there's a toe link damage somewhere on that number 11 machine, and a tough break for Tristan Fortson. He was running extremely well. Back to live action. There's the best battle on the track. It's going to be Uncle Rob Unglakis. He is pulled up on the back of Nick Sudik. Unglakis started this race 15th. He's up 8 spots. He's looking to make it 9.
He must have that thing on absolute rails in traffic here, because he's been able to creep up to just about any car he wants and get alongside of it. Top, bottom, turn 1, 2, turn 3, and 4. If Rob's got a place to put his car, he's going to put it there, and he's going to make it work. Here
we go. Now, this is complicated by the fact you have the lap car of Marco Brazil, 23 laps in arrears, right there riding the boards. Big lift from Uncle Rob coming off of turn number 4. That tells me either too much weight jacker or too hot on the right rear. So he's going to have to back that down. 36 laps into a scheduled 125. Now, we did want to point out the fuel window is going to open here very shortly. 42 laps would be a two-stopper nominally. You can make it, what, Jacob? 50 laps, maybe a little bit more if you're cautious?
Yeah, probably. I mean, you load in with about, 50 laps worth of fuel. Maybe you're saving a little even in clean air. You could probably eke out a couple more if you're lifting a lot, kind of rolling through the corner. But the biggest thing is going to be, keeping your tires on it as well, because as much as you could stretch the fuel run a lot of places, you got to think about where your tires are at as well, because if you don't have any tire come the end of your run, it's kind of hard to slow the car down for the pit lane at all. So it's one of those deals.
Here we go. We're looking at the battle for 8th and 9th. Maddie Sinclair has 8th. Olivier Simonu, he wants it. This is the best battle on the course for position. 8th is Sinclair, 9th is Simonu. Nice crossover there from Olivier. He's going to drop to the bottom, but he's not going to quite be able to get there going into turn 3. He'll try to set that one more time here, Jacob, as they come off of turn number 4. Simonu goes high. He goes low. He's looking for any way he can to get around the Bluey machine.
Yeah, you got to wonder if he's maybe watched some of these guys as he's worked his way up here to try to get an idea of where he can mount his run, as he's kind of looking left, looking right, both ends of the racetrack, trying to see if there's anywhere he can kind of gauge up a big run to get by Maddie Sinclair here.
Yes, he is. Do want to thank everybody who is watching tonight on the P1 Broadcasting channel. If you have not already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. We're so close, Jacob. 34, I believe, to 1,000. And when that happens, our own Kyle Clinworth is going to break out the rattle can. He's going to put 10 names on the side of his car, and he is absolutely going to shout every one of those names out in the broadcast interviews. So make sure you ring the bell, subscribe to the channel for a chance to have your name on the side of Kyle Clinworth's car. By the way, Clinty out early with really a lap 2 incident. There goes Simonu. He's going to get around the number 10 of Maddie Sinclair. Careful with that wall on exit of 2, though, Olivier. Careful, careful, careful. We've got another battle brewing. It's Rashad Craig. He has made it to second. Now, Hamilton Akabuezi leads it. He's 5 seconds clear. This is the battle for second and third. It's Akabuezi, it's Rashad Craig in third in the green and black Indy Alliance Racing machine. He's got Blaze Andrich in front of him in the number 17. Andrich, the last car in tonight, he's giving it a pretty good ride, but that's an old school pro behind him. Rashad is a veteran of these battles, and he has really closed that gap down to Blaze Andrich.
With that, I wonder.
One of those games of patience. As you get closer, it gets harder to make more time up, especially as you get more dirty air kind of built up in front of you. You got to kind of play a bit smarter with trying to gauge where you can build your next run, mount a charge, get closer. It might be possible that he makes a strategy call to maybe over or undercut here, try to get in front of him via a pit strategy call. There's so many ways you can approach this, especially later on in these runs, trying to essentially play mind games with each other of when you're going to make those moves.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And like I said, we are in the pit window now. Olivier Simonu has stopped, remember, Simonu, Taylor, Hayward, and Hayes all stopped earlier. Even though the pit window is open, you don't really want to stop all that early here, Collins, just because if you stop early, you're going to put yourself in the danger zone.
Yeah, that's kind of the risk you run into too, right? Is you pit too early, you end up a lap down. Potentially a yellow comes out during the pit cycle, and you have to maybe take a wave or something to that effect. So it's definitely a risk reward situation, but that's kind of where races can be won and lost too. Is those higher risk situations may end up paying off if you manage to get out on the right end of it.
100%. There's Nick Sudik. He is looking off into the distance at Logan Edwards and Sam Carosella. The Fiercely Ford cars running P4 and P6, Carosella and Sudik. They have Logan Edwards sandwiched between them in fifth. And then right behind them still runs Uncle Rob Unglakis. It's worth mentioning that pit cycles here can be extremely treacherous. You don't think about it. This track, this facility, the oval end of it was only ever used once a year. And so it gets extremely dusty, especially down on the apron. Now, the track itself has plenty of grip. They do a good job cleaning that up. But the apron, just by virtue of hardly ever being used, and we thank April for the compliments, the apron, just by virtue of not being used, Jacob, is very, very, very treacherous. You don't really have to worry about it getting on to pit road, but it is definitely an issue getting off as we look at Robin Glakis trying to chase down Nick Sudik.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things that you kind of take for granted at a lot of tracks too, right? Is they're probably a bit more frequently utilized, maybe having multiple NASCAR dates, etc., with the aprons especially. And it's hard to judge just how aggressive you can be on some of these pit outs too, especially with just where the blend lines are. Maybe if there's a bump in the apron somewhere, Atlanta has a couple good ones that'll catch you out if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Just kind of knowing how hard can you push to try to make up those precious tenths, maybe even up to a couple seconds, depending on how your pit cycle pans out.
Very true. I do want to point out that Matty Sinclair has made his stop. He stopped at lap 44, so he's 6 laps old on the tires. His last time through, 27.939. That is the fastest car. The Bluey Machine is the fastest car on the racetrack. So keep an eye on the short pit for Matty Sinclair as we continue to work it. Depending on the cycle, we're going to jump up front and have a look at Hamilton Akabuezi as he leads. He is trying to put a lap on Olivia Hayward. Ohei runs 12th. Akabuezi is going to bring it to pit road. Now, remember we said that it's treacherous, not so bad getting on, but it's hard getting off. So we're going to follow the stop for Hamilton Akabuezi, and we're going to show you from his roll bar exactly what this looks like trying to get off of the pit lane here at Twin Ring Motegi. And this is what a pit stop looks like if our viewers were kind of wondering. So here comes Hamilton. He's going to slide into the number 1 pit stall. He's up. Now, it doesn't actually animate the tires going on and off when you're outside the car. There he goes. He launches and he's away. Now, he's not going to have to worry about the pit speed limiter coming off because he's the first box. And let's see if there's any, Jacob, if there's any there. Well, there he goes. You see he kind of twitched a little bit going through there.
Yep, right back onto the exit of turn 2 there, kind of towards the bottom. It's interesting to see that he opted to hug a really, really tight line there. There's a lot of places where you'll want to try to hug as close to the apron transition line as possible to try to carry as much speed as possible. I'm guessing here it's probably the opposite, just due to you want as much grip as possible. It's probably a bit better the closer to that grass you get, just given the transition not being used quite as frequently.
Yes, indeed. And with that, wholesale pit stops now. Rashad Craig, Logan Edwards, Robin Glakis, Ohe, Olivia Hayward. Ohe has not yet stopped, nor has Simunu. Rashad Craig is on the pit lane. Logan Edwards is on the pit lane. Robin Glakis is on the pit lane. Blaze Andrich has stopped. He is out. We're watching Hamilton Akabwezi to see where he filters back in. Do want to give the due, though, Olivier Simunu, and he is really got some traffic in front of him. That's going to be the 16 of Kevin Hayes in front of the leader currently. Hayward runs second. Ohe is 5.3 seconds behind Simunu. And I'd imagine the petrol is about to run out, and here comes Simunu in. We'll see if Ohe stays out. She is not. She is going to come into pit lane as well. The other thing about pit lane here, and everybody's done a very good job, that's going to hand the lead back to Hamilton Akabwezi. The thing that most wouldn't realize, I guess, about this place is this is not a common track, Jacob. So, yes, it appears in the official schedule once every 2 or 3 seasons, but it's not one commonly run in most leagues. It's not one that is in most rotations of favorites. And so getting on and off a pit road for some of these drivers that aren't regulars, it may be more difficult. It's definitely an advantage if you've been here before.
It most certainly is, and it's one of those things that makes this track kind of stand out too, right? Is there's less experience given that it's not as frequently used. You know, it's not currently an existing IndyCar track as much as some people would like it to be.
Oh, boo that! I'm one of those people that says, "Fix it, let's go racing, get the diamond grinder out." We've seen touring cars and stuff do demonstration laps. It doesn't look bad to the naked eye, but apparently there are some pretty awful bumps and breaks in the pavement. Essentially, it needs a repave, and it's not worth it to Honda to do it right now. The track is owned by Honda, by the way, and there is a exhibition hall that is well worth the price of admission on the grounds here. But yeah, I would love to see the track back on the schedule. Have you ever seen the trophy for the IndyCar race here?
I don't think I have.
So if anybody out there wants to Google the Twin Ring Motegi IndyCar trophy, Indy 300 trophy, go take a look at that and tell me what you think that the trophy looks like for the Twin Ring Motegi Indy 300. It bears a striking resemblance to a famous trophy that's handed out here in the United States, also for an IndyCar race. We're watching Hamilton Akabwezi. He is just about to put a lap on 11th place Alexander Miller. Not too far up the road from him are Olivier Simunu, Matt Taylor, and Maddie Sinclair, Robin Glakis, and Logan Edwards. Hamilton's got a shot to lap up to, really, and we'll get in the blimp and kind of show it. He's got a shot to lap up to 6th place in this one, really 5th.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon sight, especially on these long green flag runs and some of these longer races, that, you know, a car that gets the clean air is kind of able to run away with it, can kind of catch up to the back of the lap cars here. But that's also the potential opportunity for other cars to catch back up. You know, if these lap cars are adamant as they may be to stay on the lead lap, as they have every right to be, you know, as people love in the world of IndyCar, being able to fight to stay on the lead lap, especially on these oval tracks.
For sure.
If he gets a hassle, that's opportunity for maybe a Blaze Andrich or a Rashad Craig to kind of make up a little bit of that gap there, maybe reel him back in and make him a bit uncomfortable.
There is indeed. Right now we're watching the battle between Robin Glakis, Maddie Sinclair, Matt Taylor. These cars running around 27.9, 27.8. Hamilton Akabwezi has been as low as 27.6. Akabwezi, though, has caught Alex Miller, and so that's going to be slowing his pace down a little bit. These cars are really only about a second. There's Simunu. You see Simunu just in the background. He's only about a second in front of Alexander Miller, and Hamilton Akabwezi is all over the back of the number 15 as we speak. And so just kind of keep that in mind. These guys want to get going. They don't want to go a lap down, but they don't want to burn up their stuff either.
No, and that's always the situation you run into is, do you try to save a little bit more gas to try to make a longer run, maybe get your lap back through just the order of operation through a pit cycle. Do you try to push here to stay in front of Hamilton? It looks like as Hamilton makes the move on Alex Miller for him to go a lap down, it's that risk reward situation you find yourself in these lap car situations. As much as you'd love to be fighting up at the front, you kind of have to run the race you're running and figure out where to go from there.
You do indeed. It's going to be about a second up the road for Hamilton Akabuezi to get to Olivier Simonu, and then another second to the man you're riding on board with. That's Matt Taylor. Taylor doing everything he can. He knows he's got to get going. He's got to get past Sinclair. He's got to try to get past them. Glakis just fighting for any scrap of air that he can find to make that move.
Yeah, as we see, he shoots to the bottom in turns 3 and 4 here. Does he have enough momentum to clear Sinclair? It looks like he does. We'll see if Matty can make another charge down the front stretch here, as we've seen a couple times tonight. But, it's starting to get go time for a lot of these cars, maybe closer to the back of the lead lap here, because they know that they're kind of running out of time to make forward momentum as Hamilton kind of approaches the back of the field. He's trying to claw as much as you can get.
He's not approaching the back of the field. Looking off the back of Olivier Simonu, there's Hamilton Akabuezi, your leader. Hamilton, he's not lapping the back of the field. That's the 10th place runner, and so he's well through the back. He's working on the middle now. Simonu going to give the leader plenty of room there on the bottom, and that just tells you how good of a handling car Hamilton Akabuezi really has. There you see him. But Simonu really, he's not running that high line to give him air. He's trying to avoid the dirty air of Matty Sinclair.
Yeah, keep it out of that wake. Keep his car with as much forward momentum as he can muster without having any of that air interruption in front of him. Everybody gets the cinch kind of pulled a little bit tighter the further up the field he goes here. People might start getting a bit more antsy with when they are able to make those moves on each other to try to make something happen longer term.
There you go. Hamilton Akabuezi riding on board with the leader. We're going to go ahead and put his telemetry on the screen as he fights to see if he can't get past Olivier Simonu. Then there's Matty Sinclair, Matt Taylor, and Robin Glakis. He's got 7th place within eyesight here with 70 of 125 laps complete. We are past halfway, and Jacob, you know what that means? It's time to
go to laps counting down.
That's right. We could start counting backwards instead of forwards. 56 to go. Akabuezi dives it to the bottom, 55 to go on Simonu, and so there Hamilton goes. He is now lapped up to 10th place. Now he's going to get the bit between his teeth and see if he can't get up to Matty Sinclair, who runs 9th. Do want to thank everybody for tuning into the P1 Broadcasting Network tonight. If you have not already done so, make sure that you do smash the like button on the video, ring the bell to subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting for all our entire slate of iRacing content. Of course, tomorrow night we've got the top split Oval Series, and I believe that is from the old Phoenix, the good Phoenix. Is that right, Jacob?
Absolutely.
So they're going to go to Good Phoenix. I'm going to take the night off. Gary will be on the call on that. Most leagues do take the weekend after Easter off, and so no broadcast for the ISRA tonight. The Horizon INDYCAR Series also has the week off. I believe the Elite Racing League, the ERL, and the Warriors for Peace Series, they're going to be taking the week off, and so just kind of note, it may be kind of a lighter week. We do have the AMA Grand National Series. I'll be on that one with Sam Crow on Thursday night. Friday night, the AMA trucks are off. I do not believe there is an IIS race this week, although there is a Velocity Online Racing Series race this week. And you can catch, and that'll be over on their channel, you can also catch many of us And Jacob, I don't know if you're going to do this or you're excited about this as I am. But this is an iRacing special event week.
That it is, the Road America 500 with the vintage IMSA Camel GT, as they were formerly known in Sim.
Yeah.
You know, the old Nissan GTP, Audi GTO, the era, and bury it with the turbo and hope that you don't explode under the boost pressure, if you will. I'm potentially going to give that a swing this weekend. I haven't actually raced the GTP before, but I drove it during demo drive this week and thought it was a good time. So, you know, Road America, one of my home tracks, I'd love to give it a go.
You know, I'm going to team with Indy Alliance mainstay Seb Alexander. We're going to give the GTP a run. It cracks me up driving that car. It's very digital. You know, and if you get on board with, we're going to get on board with Hamilton Akabuezi here, just so I can kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. You see the dash there with all the electronics, the gizmos, the readouts. It tells him everything he needs to know that's going on with that Dallara. In the old 1980s GTP cars, there were 2 gauges. Well, there's 4 gauges, but there's really only 2 that you look at. There's a tack. There's an idiot shift. There's a tack that has an idiot light so you know when to shift it. There's a giant turbo gauge that will go from negative pressure to all of the turbo like somebody flicked a switch. And then there's an oil pressure / oil temperature gauge, so the old school 2-in-1, Jacob. And then there's the same for the water. And that's all you got. There's a big giant brake bias knob too. But it is amazing. And those cars are fast. I mean, to tell you, they are fast around Road America.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that people kind of joke about, like, you know, when the VTEC kicks in and just like all the power instantaneously. When you get that thing finally to build up some boost pressure on the throttle, it just feels like you shifted into another gear despite having not moved a thing. It's
a rocket, and it's one of those that we don't have. Watching on board Hamilton Akabuezi as he attempts to go around Matt Taylor. This would be a lap down in 8th spot. Meanwhile, I hate to break away from the lapping party, but Rashad Craig has closed down on Blaze Andrich, and he's given Andrich a go here with 46 laps to go. Andrich and Craig are 10 seconds behind Hamilton Akabuezi, but they're having their own little private battle here for second. And this is not an insignificant fight.
No, and they were a bit more spaced out following the pit cycle. You know, it's probably around a second, and it's kind of closed back up to about a 10th or 2 here. You got to wonder if maybe it's a bit of a game of cat and mouse trying to eke out those tenths over the course of these runs here. See if maybe they can set each other up for the sprint to the finish, as I'm sure we'll be entering another pit cycle here soon. Yeah,
the window is open. We do not have any takers thus far. But back to what I was saying, we don't have any. We don't have on board with Rashad Craig. We don't have a mid-1980s turbo F1 car. I wish that iRacing would scan one. They seem to have a pretty good relationship with classic Team Lotus, and I'm sure there's a 97T floating around that is available to be scanned. Maybe one of the Lotus Honda cars from '88 would be available somewhere for them to do. But we don't have any of those cars, and so the closest that we're going to get is an '80s GTP. And I mean to tell you, when that needle goes from negative to positive pressure, you had best have the steering wheel pointed straight. Because if not, you will go for a ride, Mr. Collins.
Yeah, it's about, you basically just launched a missile. You hit the engage button like you hit nitrous in a Fast and Furious movie where it just wants to blow it in a straight line. Like, you better have that thing pointed and shoot it for all it's worth. Otherwise, you might end up in the fence faster than you can blink.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've learned in testing that car is you almost have to drive him. Rashad Craig is now alongside Blaze Andrich, very close there, coming off of turn number 4. Can he make it to the inside in turn 1? Rashad is there, Andrich is going to fight back on the outside. They're gonna continue this dispute all the way down to turn 3, Jacob.
Yeah, and you saw he kind of eked his way up alongside of Andrich on the exit of 4 that last time by, and he's maybe going to be able to get clear of him this time by here. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
You know, it's that.
Well,
Go
now
ahead.
Andrich is going to have the superior momentum coming off that corner, but you see the car. I'm hoping that car in front. That's Olivia Hayward flashes in the screen every so often. There's She saved Rashad's move because he had just enough draft to get just enough forward to negate the momentum, and then he just kind of faded down, and that's experience for Rashad Craig. He just kind of faded down the front stretch, that slow Pruitt fade. Andrich couldn't get to the inside going into turn 1, so Rashad Craig is your new second place runner, and he's already opened up nearly an 8/10. Well, now it is 8/10 of a second over Blaze Andrich.
Yeah, and you've got to wonder if maybe Andrich stuck on the high side there, had to kind of lift out of it at some point, roll back, prevent himself from hitting the wall, fight another day. It's entirely possible the tides of the race turn come the end of the pit cycle. Maybe he's able to close back up onto Rashad and give him another shot at it. Maybe on better tires, a lighter tank, all the good things that we know and love. Yeah.
Now I did flip back here. Nick Sudik is 4th. We're watching his teammate Sam Karasala in 5th. They do have the lap car of Kevin Hayes in between them. We do have 3 cars. Hayes is the final runner out on the speedway, 2 laps down in 14th. Marco Brazil has packed it in. He did gain the 2 spots on Fortson and Clinworth, and he has decided that discretion is the better part of valor. He can no longer move any further forward, and so he is ejected from the number 4. Tristan Fortson out, as well as Kyle Clinworth. Meanwhile, Carosella fights to the bottom of Kevin Hayes, and Carosella is now going to set sail after his teammate Nick Sudik. Meanwhile, we've got a battle for I wanted to say we've got a battle for 6th. Not really. We've got Robin Glakis in a battle to stay on the lead lap. He's got Akabuezi right behind him. He's got Logan Edwards right in front of him.
Yeah, that pickle, essentially these last couple cars remaining on the lead lap here, is going to come down to the wire as we get closer to the end of this fuel run. If they can eke it out and stay on the lead lap before the pit cycle, they may be able to stretch it even further partway through the next run. You never know. A lot can happen in the next 30 some odd laps.
Speaking of pit cycle, they have started on the pit lane. Alexander Miller, Matt Taylor has brought his machine to pit road, and so Matt Taylor has made his final stop. Matty Sinclair is also on the pit road. Matty's going to make his final stop, and so we're going to leave the stint time up to show everybody when these drivers are making their stops. But there's Uncle Rob. He is desperately trying to stay on that lead lap. Hamilton Akabuezi is going to pull his car into the pit lane, and that's going to mean that the lead is going to be assumed by this man, Rashad Craig. You got to wonder how long Rashad is going to stay out. Connor Perez pulls it into the pits.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a ton to gain from extending the run at this point. Maybe if you're trying to eke out that yellow, trap a couple people a lap down, that might not otherwise be, but you got to wonder if it's not now, it's when.
Well, and so here's what I might be looking at. I'm going to be looking at my air situation right now. Rashad Craig's last lap, 27.553. His best at 27.420. So he's in relatively clean air. He's got one car in front of him, which is, believe it or not, I believe that's not Akabuezi. Akabuezi would be the next car beyond the car in front. But he's in relatively clean air. He's running a faster pace than Sudik and Carosella. He's running faster than Blaze Andrich was before Andrich decided he was gonna say uncle and pull onto the pit lane. And right now, what Rashad Craig is thinking is, how about a caution, right? But
yeah, catch a couple cars, catch it at the right time, get a free pit stop. The best tires of the lot, not have to get them up to temp coming out of the pit lane. All the risks.
Yes, he is. Now, Hamilton Akabuezi just set the fastest lap. We're watching Rashad Craig. He is your leader at the moment. He just ran nearly his best lap of the race. Hamilton Akabuezi, well, Hamilton answered with a 27.246. He'll go purple. And so Rashad Craig, although he's leading, he does have the specter of a much faster Hamilton Akabuezi chasing. Logan Edwards has just been passed by Uncle Rob Unglakis. And so there goes Uncle Rob. Hamilton matches his best lap time to the 1,000th one more time. It was a little bit quicker than fourth decimal place, so another purple lap for Hamilton Akabuezi. Meanwhile, Logan Edwards is going to stop. Uncle Rob has caught, I believe that's Nick Sudik. So Sudik would be a lap behind him, right? Sudik has stopped.
Yes.
Very good. So we're going to shift our focus back to Rashad Craig. He continues to run laps much, much quicker than anybody else that was around him. Blaze Andrich on the new tires is still slower than Rashad Craig on the old ones. And so Rashad's been out 44 laps. He's going to make one more circuit. The car in front of him is Matt Taylor, by the way. In the MadWorks entry, Taylor is running 10th. He is one lap down, and he would not be keen to go 2 down here to Rashad Craig.
No, he would not. And you have to wonder if it's all but a miracle that Taylor's hung on this long. You know, he was involved in that early incident on lap 2 with Brazil and Clintworth and has a bit of right side pod damage. And, you know, that car's not maybe handling the best amongst other things. And the fact that he's stayed on even one down is impressive in its own right. So we'll see if he can maybe catch a break here coming to the end of it.
So here's where the experience of Rashad Craig needs to tell. Whoa, car way down toward the bottom there, getting out of the way. This is the time for him to pit. That's Kevin Hayes. This is the time for him to pit. He's fallen 0.3 off of his pace from previous. Now's where you want to stop because the advantage is swinging back to Blaze Andrich. He's gained half a second on Rashad Craig over the last 2 laps. Although the flip,
go ahead.
The flip side of that is for Rashad Craig, we'll get into the airship, is right now there's only 4 cars on the lead lap. So if he gets a yellow of some sort here, he will he would definitely have the fresh tires. Now, who knows if he'd be able to make a charge at Akabuezi with that, or if Hamilton would just pit anyway. The other bit is Rashad Craig is not going to have to make a full pit stop here. He's only going to need, he's going to need less than half a tank, I would think.
Oh, almost certainly. And that less time in the pit lane may be enough of a difference maker to justify staying out that little bit longer, depending on how much time loss there is. Obviously, that's a calculated decision as to just how much time do you want to risk losing running in the wake of other cars in front of you.
It is indeed. So to kind of illustrate it for our fans at home, Logan Edwards took a full tank. Robin Glakis is gonna make his way to the pit lane. Still out Rashad Craig. Logan Edwards has the longest time in the box at 9.2 seconds. That is really that means that Logan Edwards got basically all the fuel, right? Hamilton Akabuezi probably took just enough to get to the end. Akabuezi 7.9 seconds in his box. Same for Ohe. Same for Blaze Andrich. And this time, Rashad Craig is going to bring it to pit lane. So the Indy Alliance Racing campaigner has relinquished the lead to this man, Hamilton Akabuezi. Well, not quite yet. He did go 50 laps. And so let's see how long Rashad is in the pit box and where he's going to come out in relation to Akabuezi. He's going to lose the lead, certainly. But where's he going to come out in relationship to Akabuezi and Andrich? There's Rashad Craig. There,
coming off 4.
Rashad Craig is clear of pit lane. He is exiting through turns 1 and 2. And here comes Blaze Andrich. They're going to come, well, I think Rashad Craig's going to clear him. He's going to get down to the braking zone into turn 3 before Blaze Andrich catches him. And so Rashad Craig moves into sole possession of second place, and he's clear by 2.5 seconds. Meanwhile,
You got to wonder if that time he built up later on in that run helped him out, able to eke out that gap.
You do indeed. Meanwhile, there was some flashing on my timing screen happening. Matty Sinclair made up a position on Connor Parise, but then Parise fell back quite a bit. Matty Sinclair runs 11th in the Bluey car, so all of you kids out there, give Bluey a like. But he is chasing down Alexander Miller, and that would be a 10th and 11th spot. Meanwhile, the run for Uncle Rob has kind of stalled out. He's made it to 7th. He is a lap down. Logan Edwards is about a second up the road. That would be the closest battle for position on the racetrack, believe it or not. Everybody else is trying to figure out what's made this man so fast. Olivier Simonu goes 27.159. That's the fastest lap of the race thus far. Snatches the purple lap away from Hamilton Akabuezi. But it's a Monday night drive for the man in the number 1 for Fiercely Ford Racing and P1 Docks. He has cruised away, and he is about to put a lap on Sam Carosella for 5th place. My goodness gracious. Akabuezi is giving a clinic this evening. Look.
Yeah, and you've got to wonder if it's just the determination and patience. You know, he started on the pole, was able to get out in that clean air early, you know, not have to negotiate traffic, like essentially at all, until he caught some of the lappers on the back half of the field and started working his way through those. So it pays to qualify well, to take your car out front and capitalize on the situation in which you find yourself, being able to pull away from the field like that and keep building that momentum over the course of the race.
Yeah, I'm just amazed. We have had no cautions today, so a caution-free affair, which is pretty awesome. These races typically on ovals, they can get pretty long at 2/3 distance, which is what this series runs, and so yeah, I mean they can get pretty long, Jacob. But with no cautions and 27 seconds a lap, this one's gone by pretty doggone quick.
We did have the early yellow on lap 2, but otherwise it has been caution-free since. So the bulk of this race has been a green runner, which is something you do enjoy to see, watching the strategies play out, kind of the game of leapfrog, if you will. Yeah.
You do indeed. It does turn it into a bit of a snoozer, though, especially when you've got a guy like Hamilton Akabuezi, who is clearly the class of the field. He's got everybody up to 5th place, Sam Carosella, a lap down. The next car up the road for him would be Nick Sudik. Sudik is about 7 seconds adrift, or 7 seconds away from being lapped. Blaze Andrich about 10 seconds. I don't think he's going to get to Sudik. Their lap times are pretty similar. Here's Sudik, and Nick is not in clean air, and we've seen the struggles of his car in traffic thus far. Although that's kind of a great thing about the Open Series. Car doesn't want to turn in clean air or dirty air, clean air. You've got too much, too little wing. You can make that adjustment here.
That you can. You can come down the pit lane during your stop, try to dial in or out your wing wherever you need it, and carry on as you so choose.
Air pressure changes as well.
Yeah, air pressure, you've got the front and rear ARBs, the weight jacker on the ovals. You got a lot of options to try to dial your set in. Maybe you were anticipating shorter runs. You can kind of account for that. That's the wide window that is kind of advertised with this car in terms of where you can put it, where you can adjust it to. So it's good to see that come into effect sometimes.
Most certainly can. There's Nick Sudik diving underneath. I believe that is the let's see. I believe that was Connor Parise. Yeah, putting a lap on Connor Parise. I couldn't quite read the number. I guess my eyes are going bad. But anyway, our good friend Nick Sadiq, he runs fourth, 20 some odd seconds behind Hamilton Akabuezi. Blaze Andrich, give a call down to Blaze Andrich. Blaze started this race on the front row. He has maintained a position really on the podium this entire time. He did get run down by Rashad Craig for second, and Craig has had the superior pace for most of the day. I believe he has passed Blaze Andrich twice, but Blaze Andrich continues to run along in third spot. We've talked about Sadiq. There's Sam Carasella in fifth. Carasella, an excellent run on an oval for Sam. More noted as a road racer, especially in the lower Formula Series. But Sam doing a heck of a job here on the oval at Motegi. He is fifth. Logan Edwards runs along in sixth, and we've seen Logan branch out Collins into the Stock Car Series. He's been running the AMA Series on Thursday and Friday nights here on P1 and putting on quite a show.
It's always fun to see people branch out and experience different things, especially in those league environments where you've probably got a bit more of a tighter-knit group that gets more intimate with each other, knowing how each other races and that sort of thing. So it's good to see.
It is indeed. We talked about Robin Glakis, Olivier Samunu, Matt Taylor, Alex Miller. I think we've talked about everybody else in the field other than Connor Parise. Parise runs along in 12th. He is a lap down, but there's Connor Parise, and want to give him his due, as well as Kevin Hayes. Kevin Hayes, it was the second to last car in. He runs along in 14th. He is the last of the runners, 3 laps in arrears in a very colorful number 16. We do have 6 laps to go, and while we watch Hamilton Akabuezi, do want to let everybody know that we have launched what is the next IndyCar Crown Jewel event. The P1 Broadcasting presents the 600. Now, Collins, you gonna sign up for that guy?
If I can make the date, I will make an attempt. That is my hope.
So the 600 is an open setup 600-kilometer event at Michigan. This is going to be the first time that it's run, and so I am super excited about that. Gary and I will call it. I do not want to be on the racetrack. I'm going to let you guys take care of that bit. But we've got 20 entries for that race. We're going to have as many as 43 start it. If anybody would like to enter, you can check the IndyCar Discord for the entry blank, and there are some substantial prizes, $100 to the winner, and there is more moolah on the way, Jacob, and so we're pleased to announce that. Do want to thank Whiplash SimCams for the cameras, but we're getting down to the last 3 laps. Hamilton Akabuezi, the clinic is almost over.
It doesn't get much more clinical than Hamilton Akabuezi in one of these open races lights the flag, in the absence of the King Roberts and his squires of the world, the Jacob Osters, whoever else we've got, somebody's got to step up to put the clinic on, and Hamilton's done that tonight.
Yes, he has. There you see the number 1 machine. 2 laps to go for Hamilton Akabuezi. Silky, silky smooth. Will ride through his left eyeball. There it is. As Hamilton's left eye would see it. You see him down to 3rd gear. Trust the car. No wobbles, no wiggles, no jiggles. Down the front straightaway, Barney has the white flag in hand. This is the final lap here at Motegi. It's got to be kind of lonesome for him, Jacob.
Well, it's no different than practice, right? You're putting in your laps, clicking them in, clicking them off, trying to maximize all you can get, and past the point, that's all you got to do sometimes.
It is indeed. There's the checkered flag. Hamilton Akabuezi comes across the line, your winner, and we are going to have to wait a minute for Rashad Craig. There, I believe, is Rashad coming off of turn number 4. He is going to claim second. There comes Matt Taylor. And just a moment later, there's Blaze Andrich coming out of turn 3. He'll flash under the flag, and this race has been completed. Here's the last 3 cars to cross the line. Whew. That was, my goodness gracious. That was a clinic. The doctor was in. And putting on that clinic here tonight at Motegi, Hamilton Akabuezi. He takes the flag over Rashad Craig. Blaze Andrich is going to round out your podium. Nick Sudik, the only other car on the lead lap. Nick Sudik, Sam Carosella, he'll bring it home 5th. Robin Glakis, Logan Edwards, Olivier Samunu, Matt Taylor, and Alexander Miller are your top 10. In 11th, Maddie Sinclair, Connor Freeze 12th, Olivia Hayward 13th. Good run for Ohe. Kevin Hayes 14th. Marco Brazil, Tristan Fortson, and Kyle Clinworth did not finish out of the 17-car field. All right, we'll give the drivers a chance to filter in to the waiting area should they choose to do so. We've already got Hamilton down there. We'll see if Blaze Andrich or Rashad Craig would like to join us. Do not have anybody else in the waiting room. Let's go ahead and bring up our winner, Hamilton Akabuezi, since he is here. If Blaze or Rashad would like to join us, they are more than welcome to do it. Hamilton, you've got Mark and Jacob in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yo.
My man, there's not much I can say about that other than just clinical domination. You grabbed the pole. You ran away with the race. Was there any point that you thought that somebody might have something for you, or was it just drop the hammer and adios?
Not really. I mean, on the starts and restarts, it's like you can get a run into 3, but to be honest, I wasn't too worried about it. You know, I had the pace over these guys a lot. Like here, yeah, Motegi is a difficult track. Not many people like it, me included. But it's so it's a difficult track, able to extract a lot of pace out of the car over a lot of people. So yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, Jacob, what say you for our winner this evening?
You know, the long green flag runs, you kind of just got to click laps off, work your way through traffic as it comes up. Talk about how you kind of focus in on those longer green flag runs, especially when you're kind of out on your lonesome, as we were kind of calling it earlier. We're clicking those laps off, trying to keep as much as you can out in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just muscle memory, like consistently just hitting the same lines every lap, change them up a little bit when you get traffic, which traffic was hard to get through. Even being faster, like it's still hard to get through. Like there was, before my second pit stop, I was just completely stuck behind, I think it was Rob, and so I just pitted early because I wasn't getting any closer. But yeah, and then I also have Sam and Nick to talk to. So yeah.
Very good. Well, Hamilton, you know the drill. Sponsors, friends, family, shout-outs. The floor is yours, my man. You've earned it.
Yeah, I mean, shout out, obviously, for shout out Nick and Sam. They're always around. They're around very often, helping me like test for here, for Indy in a bit. Yeah, they're always around to help test, which is nice. And then I guess shout out P1 Docs setups.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your contributions today, Hamilton, and keep going fast, having fun. We will see you next week.
Yeah, see you.
So that is Hamilton Akabuezi. We are trying to get Rashad Craig into the Discord, and I believe we have him. Rashad, we got Mark and Jacob Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Here you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. My apologies thank you so much for joining us. Did you ever think at any point you had something for Hamilton, or was he just long gone and it was try to fight it out with Blaze for second?
I was more hoping for a caution, like going late, saving fuel and tires. Like my only hope was to trap him with the caution. I think I had a lap on him at one point. So my hope was to go long, get a caution, and make something happen from there. But kind of got caught by some traffic, started losing too much time, so I had to bail a lap or two early. But that caution never happened, so I'm just happy with P2. My wrist hurt really bad. Need some ice for those, but it was a really fun race.
Yeah, it looked like you were certainly having fun. Jacob, what do you have for Mr. Craig this evening?
You know, we kind of saw you going back and forth with Blaze a couple times throughout the course of the race there. It looked like ultimately that longer second run, if you will, kind of panned out with you able to be out in front of him. What does it take for you to kind of calculate how much time you're gaining or losing when you're buried in traffic, you know, leading on those longer runs, trying to stay in front of people once you get back out there?
I kind of have to start like really early. Like when I was stuck behind Blaze, I wasn't so much stuck as I was trying to figure out what was the best way to get around him later. I knew I was saving tires. Like I said, I was saving fuel, so I knew my tires were going to be better. It was more just saving enough to wait for him to pit, burn tires from there, basically run the fastest laps, Q laps as fast as I could, and hopefully come out in front, which I did. And then from there, it was kind of holding them off and not losing too much time in traffic.
Well, I'll tell you what, you were the best of the rest. It's a shame that the caution never came, because it was clear to me at least that you might have been the only car in the field that had anything for Hamilton straight up. And so with that, friends, family, sponsors, the floor is yours, Rashad. You've earned it, my man.
It's like the team for helping me with the set. This one's one we've been working on for quite a while. Nice to be able to use it every now and then. Thanks to the family for dealing with all the noise that's made in the middle of the night racing. And thank you guys for broadcasting, and anybody watching, appreciate it.
Absolutely, Rashad. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy. We'll catch you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
That is Rashad Craig. Do not have Blaze Andrich in the waiting room. I believe Blaze is not going to join us, and so do want to congratulate Blaze Andrich on the bottom rung of the podium. And really, Collins, really, Jacob, this is one that was really just a dominant performance by one guy. But don't let that distract. We had some pretty good racing throughout the field for the entire event.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that these kind of races deliver on too, is as people kind of get stretched out, they're able to kind of get in groups of cars, a lot like how a lot of road races will pan out, where you have kind of a group of cars that you're racing with on pace, able to kind of navigate with each other throughout the course of the run. And as long as you got something to chase sometimes, you know, as much as Hamilton kind of blew it out of the water being as far out in front as he was, you know, everybody kind of still had somebody to kind of play around with and chase as they went through the course of the race, and that's about all you can ask for.
It is indeed. In terms of all you can ask for, next week we'll be at Barber Motorsports Park, and if you thought this was a tough oval, the road course at Barber is absolutely one of the most challenging in the service. 2 weeks' time, we'll be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course. We're going to follow that with the Daytona road course. And so the two most famous tracks in the world give us their road courses. Week 10, we're going to go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for 80 laps on the oval. We'll follow that up with the Grand Prix at the Detroit Grand Prix. And we're going to close out the season, Worldwide Technology Raceway, 128 laps at Gateway. We do want to also let all of our fans here at the P1 Broadcasting Network know this is going to be a light week. It is the week after Easter, and so many leagues traditionally take this week off. I give it back to the competitors. tomorrow night we are going to have the INDYCAR Oval Series live from Legacy Phoenix. That is the good Phoenix, as Gary Godso terms it. And so we'll have that race live tomorrow night, 8:15. We're going to have Wednesday off. The Horizon INDYCAR Series takes a week break. The Thursday night will feature the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series live from Talladega. That is an 8:20 broadcast, 8:35 start. Sam Crow and I will have that one. And then we'll have the weekend off. Gary will have the Velocity Online Racing Series on Saturday. And then we'll be right back here. Clindy will be back in the booth. He failed to get upside down tonight. And so he'll be back in the booth a week from tonight as we go to Barber. Remember, 8 o'clock for Barber. And then the nightcap will be the Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Open Wheel Series from Chicago. We do want to thank all of our friends, competitors, sponsors, Whiplash Simcams, for providing the wonderful views of this event. We also want to thank all of the first responders, the police, the fire, the military, the EMS, the nurses in the emergency room, all the people that do the hard work at night so that we can lay our heads down on the pillows in peace. We thank you. Jacob, it's adios from Motegi.